Go. Hang on a second. All right. Let me get my my intro here.
StreamYard was like, it's showtime.
Yes, we're good to go now. I'm all out of sorts today, but we're gonna get the intro going and we will get started.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm working Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired with actor Claude Knowlton to chat about his career and time playing Silas, the Transylvanian vampire, on Supergirl. So welcome to Supergirl Radio, Claude.
Well, thank you for having me, ladies. That's very nice.
Well, we are very excited to talk to you. We really enjoyed Silas at the beginning of season 6. We have lots of questions to ask you. And am I pronouncing it correctly? I took 4.5 years of French, and I don't remember much of anything. So is it more like, is it Claude? Is that how you would maybe say it?
That's the real pronunciation.
Okay, all right.
It's my real name is actually Claude Lacasse.
Oh, okay.
And then I changed my last name to Knowlton to sound more American or English, actually, because it's British. And then nobody really questioned me after that if I was French or not, because I am French speaking first.
And it's French Canadian. Is it? Did I see that you were from Quebec? Is that
Quebec? Yeah,
Quebec,
Montreal.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Rebecca, you've got
Stanley
all the
Cup.
pronunciations.
I never get to talk to anybody who speaks any kind of French or has any French connections, so I'm trying to take advantage of it now.
Yes.
But je parle un peu.
Un peu. Okay.
Un peu.
Yeah. 100% Quebecois.
Well, Quebec City is beautiful, and I would love to go back and visit. I had a very good time there. I drank some tea at a very famous hotel there, and I can't remember what it was, but it's good tea.
Chateau
That sounds very
Frontenac.
fancy.
Possibly it was at a very high point in the city. I remember that we had to go down a hill. So anyway, that's a whole thing. I just really wanted to talk to somebody about some French things. So merci for letting me Yes. Very, very cool. All right. Well, I guess we could go ahead and start talking to Claude about some parts of his career, because you have a very impressive filmography. I was looking through your credits, and I was like, dang, he's been in everything.
Thank you.
So we have lots of questions to ask you about some of your work, but I guess a good place to start would be your origin story. Here on Supergirl Radio, we talk about comic book characters, and so we talk about origins and first appearances. So what is your origin story? Where are you from, and how did you get into acting?
I'm from another planet. This one.
Nice.
You like the tank top? It was a friend of mine gave it to me.
Awesome.
I love it. Now I'm kind of jealous, actually.
Right? She found it in some thrift shop, and she gave it to me the night we had a little party here for Supergirl when it aired, and she gave me that, so that was pretty cool.
Well, you did that correctly. You did the shirt
right. Yeah.
Very well done.
So basically, I'm from Sherbrooke, Quebec, which is a small town outside of Montreal. It's about an hour and a half east of Montreal, and I went to French Catholic school. And I've always wanted to be an actor. And at 19, I left and moved to California. But at first, it really wasn't to act, because I didn't think that it would be possible. And I took some English classes at the college where I was in Palm Springs, and took some Spanish classes and some acting classes, actually. And that's when I got the bug. And my teacher begged me to come and audition for a musical, Camelot. And I just loved it. We did some sword fighting training for 2 months, and singing and dancing. And I kind of got the bug that way. And I just should have stayed longer and do more theater training, but I just wanted to go to LA right away. And then I made the move to LA because some of my friends started moving. And again, LA was very overwhelming at first. But if you kind of stay in one area, like you work in Beverly Hills as a waiter, you live in West Hollywood, or you choose like Venice Beach or whatever, it's not that bad. And because LA seems so scary at first, and then you just kind of struggle to get an agent, do showcases, to find ways to get a commercial agent first. That's the easiest way to get in the business. And I got my first American Express commercial because they were looking for chefs, and I just happened to be working in a restaurant. And
nice.
That got me my SAT card and $10,000, and then I was ready to go. I mean, I did a workshop afterwards with agencies come in, and I said, hey, at the end of the workshop, you hope to get an agent out of it. The agent, I said, I will give you 10% of my residuals that's playing for the commercial if you take me on, and he did, and that's how kind of got started, because it's not easy in Los Angeles,
No, yeah, it's a lot of work, and that's very cool to hear that you started, with sword fighting. And I think that's cool. Actors build up a lot of skills that you take along the way, so that's cool to hear.
For
got a cool start like that. Very cool. Well, I had some questions, and Morgan, if you'll humor me. I saw that one of your credits, Claude, was on The Young and the Restless.
I saw that too, and I was like, Rebecca's going to have a lot of questions.
I'm a huge fan of The Young and the Restless. I've been watching it since I was 15 years old. I'm not going to tell you how long that is. But do you have any memories of working on the set or anything that you did with that?
You know what I remember from working on that show is that it shoots, because I've worked on General Hospital, Port Charles, The Young and the Restless. I've auditioned for The Bold and Beautiful, but never got on it. And most of the time, for some odd reason, these casting directors would only see me for French characters. So I played a French waiter on General Hospital, recurring, and then I played on The Young and the Restless. We were supposed to be in Paris. I remember an actress with a baby. She was looking at an apartment, and I showed her the apartment as the caretaker. That's all I remember. But what I really liked about working on that show is that it shoots on the same lot at CBS in Fairfax, where The Price is Right shoot.
That's right.
Nice.
And they were shooting The Price is Right when I was there waiting, and I was in the hallway, and you could see them wheel out all the prices, wheel them in, and hear the audience screaming. And then after I shot part of my thing, I went back, and it was quiet. And I just leaned in, and there was a security person, and I peeked in, and I saw the set. And this is like recently, so it's all the new one, super flashy, It was pretty cool. So that was pretty cool. And I would see all the people from The Bold and Beautiful with their gowns, traveling to go to set with their trailer or whatever. So it's just, but my first time on General Hospital, I was not impressed with, I didn't realize, when you get on set, not on set, but at the studio, that everything is pretty much shut off and it's only lit where they're shooting. And the hallways were very 70s and 80s with old pictures of all the cast from years and years and years. It just didn't look very glamorous to me. That's what I remember.
Yeah, I now that you mentioned that about The Price is Right, I think because I looked into trying to take a tour of the Young and the Restless set one time, and I remember seeing some pictures of people like going in. I forget what that big wheel is that they have to spin to go on the final round. You know what I'm talking? So I think people on the tour get a chance to do that. So that's incentive.
Spin the wheel. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, what a dream come true.
That's my dream, is go on the Young and the Restless set and spin that wheel for The Price is Right. Not actually be on the shows, but just be there.
But just be able to spin the wheel.
But soaps are a different beast. So they're very, everything is organized. Everything is timed. You will work at 1, you'll be done at 2:30. They've been doing this forever, and it doesn't need to be great. It needs to be done by Tuesday.
That's true. That sometimes will come through in the quality of some soap operas. But they shoot, I think I read one time 100 pages a day, which is
They have too
insane.
much to shoot for it to be,
wild.
so you do a take or two and you're done,
Yeah. So
And there's no action. They don't say action. They count down 3, 2, 1. And then I was like, they're like, Claude? I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't know I was waiting for action,
That is something I've never heard of. That's very
so
interesting.
funny.
It's just very quiet.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So soaps are a different animal. So I can
Different
imagine
animal.
it's a little different than some of your other TV credits. Again, Morgan, if you'll humor me, I also saw The Closer was on there, and we talk about The Closer maybe a lot for a Supergirl podcast, but
We talk about a lot of random shows a lot for a Supergirl podcast.
But The Closer comes up every now and then, and it was one of my favorite TV shows. Do you have any memories of working on that show?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't work with Kira Sedgwick, but I got to work with Elizabeth Perkins and Maggie Wheeler. She was Chandler Bing's girlfriend on Friends, the one who had that funny laugh, Chandler, whatever. She had that weird.
She's great.
Chandler Bing. Yeah, she was great. And Elizabeth Perkins from the movie Big with Tom Hanks, and she's done a lot of stuff. So she was the big guest star, and so was Maggie, paid her friend. And I was the manager of a restaurant. We shot it at a place where actually Elizabeth Perkins had her wedding. So that was kind of cool. But everybody was just so kind and so welcoming. They sent me a letter signed by all the executive producers to welcome me. And it was just a really, really great experience. I went to the table read with all the cast. And you watch a show for a long time, and all of a sudden you're in it. It's just the weirdest experience. It's really, there's nothing like it. It's just bizarre. I'm nervous because you want to make sure you do a good job at the reading, because you can be let go if you don't perform at the reading.
Oh wow.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the leads can have a lot of fun and play and screw up, but if you're this was not a huge part, but if you're a big part, they're still testing you. You can be gone tomorrow and recast.
That's stressful.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
I guess it's a read through just in case you don't work out. I guess
It's and that's how they work out the kinks too. They want to hear it. Everybody's there, casting everybody. And big round table, executive producer, the lead will be at the end. And so, I did a Scandal with Shonda Rhimes, sitting right there in the middle, and everybody around, and it's like, it's pretty overwhelming, especially if the show's already aired and you're about to guest star on it, and you're there, and you're like, oh my God, that's Kerry Washington. Oh my God, that's so and so, and you're about to speak to them, at school, when you're at school and you're about to speak, it's your turn and your heart's pounding, you're waiting, it's coming, That's how it feels.
Yeah. But usually in school, you don't have to speak in front of Kerry Washington. So I think it's probably like a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, guest stars are super important. If guest stars don't work, in my opinion, the whole episode falls apart. So guest stars are really important parts of any show. And you just to run through a couple other things that maybe our listeners might be interested in. You spent some time on the CW. You've been on Supernatural.
That was amazing.
Yeah, let's see. We got you on Supernatural, and then I've got you on iZombie.
I love iZombie. Oh no!
I want to ask because I don't watch iZombie, so you might have to fill us in about your injury here in this.
I think that's tough on iZombie, apparently.
Yeah, it was the second episode of season 1. So basically, they had shot the pilot, and this was the.
Let's see. Why can I not hear? Morgan, can you hear anything?
No, yeah, the audio dropped for me too.
All right, hang on a second. Hey, Claude, if you can hear us, we cannot hear you anymore. Can he see us?
I don't know.
Claude, we can't hear you. Can you restart your ears? We cannot hear you.
Should I put these away?
Oh,
hey, you're back.
Yeah,
now
you're back. Sometimes the earbuds are.
Yeah. Put them away. Actually.
Finicky.
Sorry,
Sorry
they die sometimes halfway through.
Okay.
That's good.
You okay?
Yeah.
So yes, iZombie was just a pretty amazing experience. So basically, I had a wife, a mistress, and a lover. And
wow,
you were busy.
I was playing a Latin lover called Javier Abano, famous painter, and I got murdered. That with the paintbrush right in the eye.
Oh, that's what that is.
What a way to go.
Yeah. And I got to be the dead body at the corner at the medical, whatever, which is kind of creepy because you're like almost naked and just a sheet, and then they take it off, and then you have your head on that thing that they support your head with. And the makeup has to be like you're dead. And I'm pretty dark always. So it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny picture. I thought I just had to ask you about that. And you were also in some films. You did Transformers the last night. So
that was an amazing experience. I auditioned for that in May of whatever year it was. I didn't hear for 6 months. In October, my manager in LA, I was living in LA, called me and said, "Hey, the office from Transformers just called. Are you still available?" I'm like, "Heck yeah." They had been in London for 3 months shooting, and then Detroit for 3 months, and then they were finishing the movie in Los Angeles at Paramount Pictures. So I got to have my own parking space at Paramount on the lot. You come in, the gate open. I mean, it's fantastic. And then I go and meet Michael Bay, and then he's like, "Are you free Wednesday?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, you're working Wednesday." So I got 2 days. Originally it was free one day. And everything they say about Michael Bay was true. He was yelling at people and stuff, but he was very kind to me. And he was a very good, there was no last looks, you know what I mean? Like makeup and hair before they shoot, they say last looks. There was none of that. There was no mark on the floor. It was just very organic, very quick, very like, okay, let's do this, let's do that, And he has his own camera that he created. And my scenes were with Tony Hale, who's from Veep and Arrested Development. I'm mostly known for comedies, so this was interesting because I was the JPL. Sorry, I have a JBL speaker. JPL director. And yeah, it was at NASA basically, and the stage was fantastic. I never got to meet Mark Wahlberg or Anthony Hopkins or anything like that, or see any of the Transformers, but it was still pretty cool.
That's cool to be in a Transformers movie. That's a pretty big deal. So that's cool. So you have a pretty long list of credits. I encourage everybody to go check out his IMDb and follow.
Yeah, I was
along.
scrolling, going like, "Oh, I like that. I like that." Criminal Minds. Just a who's list of good shows on there.
So you might see Claude pop up in something that you didn't expect. And I guess that leads into a question of like, what do you look for when you look at a script? So like for Supergirl, when you were approached about this, did someone hand you a script? Did you go audition? What was that process like?
Oh yeah, I just got an audition. I have actually the breakdown here from my agent. So basically, there's a breakdown service called Actors Access, and we just get an email and says you have a C-mail, and then you open this email and it tells you what the role is. And this came September 1st of 2020, so right in the middle of the pandemic. And it says role name Silas, male, mid 40s to early 50s, kind of like it's right. Any ethnicity. Obviously, they have to say that. A mild-mannered alien whose tragic past allows him to help the Super Friends with their mission at hand. One-day guest star. That's how it came to me.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So you got a couple of episodes out of that.
Yeah, I was about to say, one day. It seemed like you were in a little bit more than that.
Yeah. And then you have the script, not the script, sorry, the sides. And the new thing, well, CW is very protective of their audition and everything. They always say on the top, do not share anything on Facebook or anywhere, no posting on Facebook, Twitter, personal blogging, any website, blah, blah, blah. So CW takes care of that. So you can't do anything or talk about anything until it had aired on the CW. And a lot of times, because there's been people that have made mistakes and opened their big mouths or talked about it or posted their auditions on YouTube or Vimeo.
Why?
Oh, no.
Why would you do that?
Don't do that.
Private. Well, when at first things started with the self-tapes, I'm talking about before the pandemic, people didn't know how to do it, or do I do it on Vimeo? Do I put a private thing, Dropbox? It was so confusing.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit more organized. And no posting on YouTube, basically, until after. Like right now, I'm waiting. Once it's on Netflix, my episodes, I can probably post my audition, my actual video audition. But listen to this, ladies. The audition was, all my lines were with Nicole. That was one scene, right? And it's Nicole listening to Silas as he recounts his backstory. My husband was falsely accused of theft. He was sentenced to 6 months in the Strikers.
That's different.
So, see, they didn't want to ruin it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
They took a win from me. That's all the same. Blah, blah, blah. I failed. Blah, blah, blah. And she says, I'm sure I can replicate your technology. That was Brainy's line, actually. And I say the tech is the easy part. People talk about Strikers as a place where time does not pass, but it isn't what makes it terrible. It's the guards. No phantoms mentioned. And the rest is pretty much as it was on the day, but it's all just me and Nicole. So what do you do with that? You just, I had a friend come over. She's a really good actress, Siddiqa, local actress here. And I just basically had her with me, which most of the time during the pandemic, I made my self-tapes with Zoom people, on Zoom. But for that, she came over here. And I had this story about Chadwick Boseman that had just passed that week. And I actually got a chance to act with that guy.
Oh, wow.
Amazing actor. And this was like one of those, what do you call it? Not a moment, more like I came home and I was almost in tears after I acted with that guy. There was something about that guy that was so special and so great. Anyway, so I told that story to Siddiqa, and then I paused, and then I started my scene. And it just put me in that zone of, talking about my husband and the phantom zone, because I'm making this up. I don't know what's going on. You can make stuff up. You can make backstory. You can, make up stuff, but you don't want to be too far from. And then I don't like to make too much stuff up, because then what if the producers, that's not really what they want? So I try to stick to really what I have on the script, on the sides, And that's it. It just kind of worked, Yeah,
that makes sense. So that's a really interesting introduction to if people didn't know about sides and some of the things, because they do sort of mess with with it to try to hide some information. Polly even says, I remember those tapes that were leaked and we were all speculating about what Strikers was. So sometimes they do try to throw people off just in case those sides get out.
I had watched Supergirl, obviously, and I knew about the Phantom Zone, but then that wasn't mentioned. So I was looking for the Strikers, and I don't know. I was like, I can't go back and start trying to figure out which episode they're talking about strike. You know what I mean? So I just went with what I had, basically. And by watching the show previously, before my audition, obviously, I noticed how everybody was dressed really nice and fitted clothes and, so I wore fitted black jeans and a leather jacket. And it's one of those that has like a round collar and it was all zipped up and I just looked very stoic. I just had that image of Alien because there you go. I didn't know it was a vampire then.
I was about to say, I feel like it works for the vampire. It's a little bit like mysterious, little bad boy.
There's nothing in there, and that's good that says I'm a vampire.
Yeah, no.
Nothing in the breakdown. So I only found out later on when I got ripped. I was like, what? I'm a vampire? What?
I could have worn teeth for my audition.
I'm robbing blood banks?
That was the real twist. Not that you were an alien, but that you were an alien vampire.
Yeah.
No one saw it coming.
Yeah.
So how would you prepare for that? Once you find out that you're going to be playing an alien vampire, what's the process? Do you watch a lot of vampire movies? Do how do you
Buffy
prepare?
Marathon?
How do you prepare for that?
I did. I mean, I had played a vampire before for a Heineken commercial. And they do these crazy wild commercials. And that was like 4 hours of like makeup and hair and everything. And it was pretty fantastic. So really got into that. But I've always been a fan of vampires. And I basically watched a little bit of True Blood again. And I wanted to watch how they do with the fangs, the whatever. And I watched the new Dracula on Netflix. I forget the name of it. I don't know if it's called Dracula or whatever. It's a new series about Dracula. So I watched him and actually took screenshots of him and sent that to the hair people in production and say, hey, because they asked me what I thought I should look like. And I was like, well, I don't know, but of what, make my hair darker, make me, I don't know, eyeliner and, that kind of stuff. So I had a little bit of input in the looks of Silas, which was cool. The blue contacts, I loved it, but it wasn't my idea.
Is that pretty typical for the hair and makeup people to ask for your input?
I think if you're a big guest star, so basically once I got the part, okay, let me go back. So first audition, right? Then I didn't hear for a while. Then I auditioned for Superman and Lois for a different role. Same office, same, right? Same production, everything. Then I auditioned for the prosecutor in that episode of Supergirl that I was in with John Cryer, the big trial that he had,
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We are familiar.
Yes, so it was a woman who played the prosecutor. So I auditioned for that. So then they saw me in a suit doing something completely different. So I got to show them different sides of myself as an actor. Because I don't know if they really go on IMDb to look at my demo or I don't know. You know what I mean? So they got to see three things. And then I ended up booking Silas and my agent says, and the role has grown exponentially and it's now becoming a top of show guest star 3 episodes. But again, I didn't know how big. Am I 8 days, every episode or just, so it turned out to be 8 days in the first episode, 3 or 4 in the next, and then only 1 on the last, which I don't know what happened, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we have some questions about.
You have a good question. If you want to pull it up, Rebecca.
I was looking at Nicole's question.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
Yeah.
It's so Nicole asked, several of the Supergirl cast have played vampires in other media. Did you guys swap stories or share advice about playing vampire characters? Because I believe Katie has. I believe
Nicole has.
Yeah, definitely.
talked about it, and I saw it on her. I think she's known for it, like on Twitter or her Instagram or something. So yeah, we did talk about that. She was pretty badass. She was really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I can imagine playing vampires. It might be something that I guess every actor sort of has to come across every now and then, because vampires are really popular. There's a lot of vampire content out there.
They're sexy.
Yeah, that's true. Do you remember that? Like, there was like a couple of years where everything was vampires. It was like True Blood and the Vampire Diaries and Twilight. It was like everywhere.
Vampires are so hot.
The market got saturated with vampires.
Oh,
well, and I'm very interested in how actors have to utilize other aspects. It's not just you in your physical presence and the words you're saying. There are other aspects that you have to focus on, especially like with Silas. He had teeth. So how what's the trick to saying your lines with those teeth in?
Well, you get used to it. So basically, I went to some special plays. They do an impression of your teeth, and then once you get on set doing the hair makeup, they give you they're like Invisaligns basically, but it's separated in two. So it's not one, it's two. You pop one and you pop the other, and it has a tooth on each. And yeah, it was a little bit of a speech impediment at first. But I guess you get used to it, and you just make sure you don't eat and stuff, and you pop them out when you go and get off the set, so it's more comfortable. The contacts was different because it was hard to see, basically, because it just kind of like narrows your vision. Huh. So time with the contacts, every time I was on set, it was, difficult to make sure that I was not going to fall and step on anybody or anything, So that wasn't great.
I think you did a great job with the teeth. The way, and maybe it's because of the teeth, but the way you emphasize certain words to really make the teeth come out.
Oh yeah, actually.
Yeah, you did a great job with that because it really showcased the teeth.
Oh, thanks.
And one of the things that I was curious about when I went back to rewatch your episodes was in that first episode, kind of basically the first time we see Silas, he gets in a fight with Brainy, and he has one of those, Brainy kind of does his like calculating fight style where he's sort of matrixing it everywhere. So what was that like? What were you in did you get to do your own stunts and what was that process like?
So basically, when I read the script the first time, I was like, damn, there's a lot of, like, there's the big battle scene. They call it the battle royale. And then there's the fight with Brainy, and then, toss the security guy and then get pushed on the floor and picked up by Jean. And I was like, wow, I got a trainer at the gym. I was like, I need to get to the gym. I mean, I'm always in shape, but I wanted to be more physically in shape, and just to make sure that I was not going to be the actor, because I'm not like 25. And basically, the stunt coordinator is the one in charge of all the stunt people, and they just give you the lowdown. Ask anything you want. You want pads on your knees, you want pads on your butt, you want pads on your elbows. They'll give them to you, and it's definitely recommended for actors. But he gave us the whole choreography, and then practice with him. And it's a slow process, make sure that, we just do it every time the same way. And then afterward, you add a little speed to it. And then you add the facial expression to it, so you look more badass and stuff. And Jesse just kind of practiced together. And it didn't take too long. I mean, we're both pros, and it just worked out. And he did change. I don't know if you know about that, but when I when I throw the security guy, which basically was a stunt guy, he was so good at throwing himself against the wall every time. and I grab him and I say, keys. And I grab the key and I open the thing. Brainy was supposed to be upside down.
Oh.
And the line was, how's it hanging, my dude? But Jesse had heard of a horrible story. I'm speaking for him. I hope he doesn't get upset. But he had heard of a horrible story of somebody, an actor, who was hanging upside down for a shoot a long time. And it caused some damage to, I think, the blood in his eyes or something.
Oh, no.
And good for him, I mean, the whole first episode with the Battle Royale,
I was exhausted. I was like, I told Kyler, I was like, you guys do this all the time? It really is, you know? You got to be in shape. You got to stay in shape. I mean, David Harewood, you know, he's my age. It's like, he's no young pup, you know, and you got to stay in good shape to do all those stunts. So, but yeah, basically, if you're being pushed, then it will be a stunt guy. I'll do it. But then you got to do the landing, and you got to do the, so there's a lot of stuff that you got to do. And for me, it was all new, but I mean, in that style, especially superhero style. But yeah, I felt pretty comfortable with it. I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And the coordinator was really happy with me because I was just willing to do whatever.
Yeah, I mean the fight with Bernie looks really great. So y'all did a good job. And since you've been talking about some of the other cast members, I know you had a really beautiful scene with Ozzy Tesfaye and also with Kyler Lee. Alex gives you a little bit of a pep talk. So what was it like having those more intimate moments? You had the cool fight scene, but what was that like acting with the two of them?
Ozzy was fantastic. We met in the trailer, the makeup trailer before that scene, and we just started chatting and just get to know each other a little bit. And she had been on Jane the Virgin, and so was I, so we had something to talk about. And I kind of asked her, actually, I said, when I stare at you, do I you see actors, sometimes their eyes start going like this, and it's really distracting. And I remember Michael Caine used to have a video and talked about just focus on one eye. And I said, I hope you don't mind, but I'm just going to focus on one eye. Got those big eyes, right? But she's so present and so there. It kind of reminded me of my friend Siddiqa that came over and just made it so comfortable for me. It was just so easy, And they did cut a lot of my dialogue for this. They kept most of hers and cut some of mine. I had more, but it's okay. That was the only, because, they overshoot basically, right? And then they need to narrow it down. So that's what they did. But she was fantastic. And Kyler, that was a different story because Kyler and I had the giggles a lot and we laughed. Time to do that scene when she comes in the corner, that was during the battle, and we were so confused what was going on. And we were kind of laughing a little bit at what she had to say, and just it was fun,
Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys had a good experience with that, because those scenes are great. So you all did a really good job with that. Let's see. I guess, do we have any questions while we're stopping here? Claudia does want to know: do the actors on Supergirl work out on set during filming? Do you know if they do that?
Well, okay. So now I have not seen what they do on normal, non-pandemic COVID-19. It could be different, but no, because we all have to go back to our trailers, and we don't really see each other besides when we're just kind of walking together on set, and then we're together and then we hang out. No, I saw that on Supernatural. The boys, they're called. They have a massive van that's a gym. It's a portable gym that will follow wherever they are.
Oh, wow.
And they can get there on set an hour before and work out, and then take a shower in their trailer, and then show up at the makeup. That's what they do. They don't have time to go to a gym. They're on set 12, 13, 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
That does make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. But now, and also with this season of Supergirl, because of COVID, they had to narrow it down to 10 hours a day. So.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting to know. I had only known about the masks and the tests and all that, but to know that they had to decrease the hours, that's interesting.
Decrease the hours, and so no more working on Friday until midnight, 12 o'clock, whatever, 2 a.m. until the shots are done. They have to get it done within those 10 hours every day of the week, whatever. So basically, if you call times at 7, you're done by 7. So you can still work out after. If you're early riser, work out before. So it's but no, I didn't see them do any workout on set or anything like that. Nobody doing ropes or anything. Jesse and David were playing chess.
Oh,
so they were working out their minds.
Mental workout.
Very. Jesse Rath is a genius. I mean, He's an encyclopedia. I mean, he knows everything about the DC. No wonder why he got that role.
He does love him some Legion of Superheroes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We have some questions because we had these questions when we were talking about Silas. So I wondered if you could sort of fill in some gaps for us. So, did you maybe think about? They introduced the planet of Transylvania with Silas's appearance. So I think that was the first time we'd ever heard of Transylvania as a planet. So was that something that you gave any thought to, or did anybody give you any direction on? What's Transylvania like? What do you suppose? What do you suppose they do there? What's
just of vampires? and if it is, how do they eat?
They suck blood.
But if there are no humans around, do they? Is it just each other?
They have a little bit of blood. So
there you go.
Blood.
Okay.
And then when they're grown up, they just find another planet.
Oh, okay.
I like that. I like that.
that does make sense.
They have to head out into the world.
Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you for filling in those gaps because we were like, do they turn each other into vampires? How does that work? So that does make sense. Maybe they just go from planet to planet.
There are things that are unexplained. Adam and Eve. What happened? Who was there before? And then they had a baby, but that baby had sex with who to make more babies? The brother? What? I don't know. Sometimes you just leave it at.
Sometimes you're just like, it's just a vampire planet.
It is.
And then you gotta let it go.
Let it go.
And we were also curious about Silas's roommates on Earth. So
I in particular was a little concerned that he had to live with like 3 roommates. Like, what is our time stuff for Silas? That's a lot of people in one house.
It seemed like it was tough. I was even thinking to myself when I saw the apartment. You see my apartment here in Vancouver. And I saw Silas' apartment. I was like, damn, what are you doing for work?
That's why he's got to rob those blood banks.
40s, he's got roommates, he's got to rob blood banks, and then they steal his blood.
They did. Are his roommates vampires too, or?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They ran out of their blood, so they had to drink my O negative.
That is totally bad roommate etiquette, and I feel like they need to have like a house meeting to talk about it.
Oh yeah, and there was labels on all the jars. They were made.
How dare they?
Silas, and they took my stuff. That scene I was supposed to, whatever the blood on set was, and then start going, and then drop the jar. And then I said to them, that's gonna look like it's the blood that's making me fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the fact that the phantom I got inside of me during the battle, right? It just went in, and I didn't realize until I got home I'm not feeling well. So if I drank that blood, it would have appeared that the blood is making me sick, and all of a sudden a phantom comes out of me, So we nixed that. We just dropped it instead of drinking it.
That's a good call. I think that's handled the right way because I see your point. I think it's handled very well.
I would have thought that one of the roommates had poisoned his blood. Like there was some real drama in that apartment.
And that fall was actually another big stunt for me because I had to. There was a stool and it was all choreographed, but there was a padding and stuff. So that was another. But I did. I love the director was so excited and he was like. When I came back, when they have everything blocked, and he goes, "Do you want to shoot?" No rehearsal. I'm like, yeah. And then we did 2 takes, and that was it. So
that's awesome. Well, we're very glad that things worked out for Silas. He got a lot of. He was yelled at by the Super Friends. They made him go to work and do something that was very traumatizing for him.
The Super Friends weren't always nice to Silas, and I didn't appreciate that. I was on Silas's side the whole time. I was like, wait, now you're making him develop an app for you? What is this?
And I saw that episode where you guys talking about that. And it was not my doing of smacking that iPad, by the way. That was in the script.
Really?
It was all there. I didn't do any of that.
That's too funny.
Yeah. And then I let it go.
Well, it worked, I guess, hitting that iPad, even though I don't think it would maybe work in real life. on Supergirl, it worked. But yeah, so they put Silas through the ringer. He became a phantom at one point. So I'm glad that all worked out in the end. So I guess Silas is just living his best life now that he's been restored. He has his his soul back in.
Where can he go? I mean, Supergirl's going to be over. I'd love to go on another DC comic show, you know?
I think Silas could maybe hop on the shows. I think he could do some show.
You know, the Legends, I feel like, of tomorrow welcomes everybody. They've never had a vampire on the Wave Rider. I feel like that's a natural fit.
I think so. That would be a great fit. They could go into I don't know what time period that would be.
And think of it this way. Silas is already used to having up between 3 and 5 roommates, so he's going to feel right at home.
Right at home on the Wave Rider. I think that's a great pitch. They're going to be a great fit for Silas on Legends of Tomorrow.
Put it out there.
Let's get Silas on Legends. That's a good pitch. Well, I guess to wrap up our Supergirl time, Claude, what was your experience on Supergirl? What would you tell people about your Supergirl experience? What did you enjoy most about it?
How kind the people were, from the producers to the cast, because it's not easy for an actor to come in on a show, especially on season 6. Everybody knows each other. Everybody know each other very well, and the director of that first episode was so welcoming, and he was like, they were all covered in PPE, and he was like, I'm so sorry you have to meet us that way, and normally, we would have taken you out to dinner. And I was like, taking me out to dinner? Really? Wow. Great production. I mean, I guest star, top of show, they just want to maybe talk about the story. Maybe we would have talked more about those details that I didn't know any. There was no time because it was just so so fast. But I would say how everything was very safe during the COVID that we shot. Everything was very organized, and they were so happy to be back. By the way, I was the first actor to be on set because I had to do some camera tests for the contact lenses for the fangs. They send those to Hollywood. Hollywood decides, which color the fangs work, the fangs don't work, whatever. Well, they had to work, but maybe a different size of fangs, I don't know. And I was the first actor back on set since March 2020 when they shut down. And this is in October. So
oh, wow.
I walked on the set, and I was the first one to do a test with the camera and the light and everything and do my monologue, and then change contacts, come back, do it again. And that's when I met everybody the first time. I only met Kyler there because she was there also not to work, to get her hair dyed purple or whatever, and get her cut and whatever. She was getting ready for the season. And she's the one who kind of gave me the lowdown on everything. And then she goes, if you have any questions, and she was just so nice, And that was my introduction to them. And it just, everybody else that I met after was just super nice and friendly and welcoming. That's my experience. That's what I remember from it.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you had a good experience on the show.
That's really cool. Do you have any fun behind the scenes stories or anything that you'd want to share?
Oh boy. I'm trying to remember now. What did I do that could have been? No, behind the scene, no. Everything was so different because of COVID. We had to go back to our trailers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We couldn't really hang out on set with the other actors, so that was not fun, really. Because I like to just hang out and chat with people usually, but we would shoot and then we just go back, and that's it. So there's really nothing. I mean, I did take some videos. I'm sure you saw those on social media and stuff. So I did it kind of behind, like the scenes, hiding about it. I posted them after the episode had aired. So.
Yeah, that's such a unique experience to have done that during the COVID pandemic. So I'm glad that at least you felt safe and you were able to do kind of what you needed to do, even with all that craziness. So that is definitely a unique experience. Hopefully that we will never have to replicate again. I always try to ask this of people, and I forgot to do it earlier, but what was your first encounter with the character of Supergirl? Not even just, it doesn't have to be the show, but when was the first time you ever learned that there was a character of
It is.
Supergirl?
I was living in Los Angeles, and it was a big deal when the first season, it was also shot in Los Angeles, and I auditioned for the pilot.
Oh, cool.
I don't remember. I think it was a lawyer or something. I went back the other day. I was like, wow, that was a long time ago. I couldn't believe it.
That's really cool that you had that prior experience with the show in Los Angeles, but then you were actually able to get on the show in Vancouver. That's very cool.
And then I watched the entire first season with Calista Flockhart. And then I moved here. And then what happened when I moved here, the CW is not, I mean, you have to pay extra. And in Vancouver, it's not really easy access. And then I just didn't have it. So I watched it on Netflix, the first 5 seasons, I think, or 4 seasons. Yeah, 5 seasons on there. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, you gotta catch up if you're gonna gonna be.
Oh yeah. When I booked Silas, I watched every single episode.
Oh, that's impressive. That's quite a binge.
Well, also during, COVID, so there was not.
Oh yeah. What else was there to do?
Homework.
Lots of people were binging Supergirl during the pandemic, so that's cool. Well, I'm glad you were able to come on Supergirl and actually have that experience. So that's great. Well, if you have a few minutes, we would love to play some make some snap judgments with you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we'll play a little intro and we'll be right back. In a game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so our first snap judgment. Would you rather have to break into a blood bank or figure out how to break into the Phantom Zone?
Blood bank.
It does seem easier. I would also go blood bank because I don't want to have to develop an app to get into the Phantom Zone. I don't have that kind of time.
That's a lot of work, probably in a short amount of time. Because
how many developers do I have? Is it just me?
No. Do I have a team? Yeah. Well, I don't know. The Phantom Zone might mean that I might get to go, but would I want to go to the Phantom Zone?
I lost my husband in the damn Phantom Zone.
That's true. It's not a great experience.
I don't even know where he is.
That's true. They never did
they never got him out at all either, too. Like they felt like they could have sent in a message to Supergirl like, hey, could you get Silas's husband? No, it's fine.
Right?
He's still in there.
Maybe that's coming. Yeah, I probably would do blood bank. It does seem easier.
Would you rather transform into a bat or a phantom?
A bat? Because you can just go and sneak everywhere and watch people and then scare them if you want to. But this phantom thing, it was just so big and scary, and you can't go incognito. You just, bat for sure.
Yeah, I think I'd do bat too. Like, in both cases, you can fly, but in like one case, you're basically a Dementor, and I don't like. I'm not saying I love everybody. I don't feel like I want to like inflict their worst fears upon them. When you're a bat, you're just like flying around eating insects, like love and life. You're not like bringing out anyone's worst nightmare. So
I don't know. The Phantoms built that structure. I think in the Phantom Zone,
they did all work together to build that.
And they had an office room and some cubby holes. That it seemed like they had a good thing going in the Phantom Zone in this.
They built it up to code. They got to inspect it.
So I don't know. The Phantoms seem to have a little bit of a sitcom going there on in the Phantom Zone. So I would say Phantom. Yeah.
Okay.
there you go. You can do some construction. You can unionize, maybe. The world's your oyster. Okay. What's the better situation to be in? Being a Fort Ross prisoner or being yelled at by Martian Manhunter?
Oh, yelled at by Martian and Manhunter for sure. I can take David here with any day. You don't scare me.
I'm gonna go being yelled at by Martian Manhunter because I think like we know Jean's just a softie inside, and like you just got to tell him your sob story, and he's gonna come around.
That was out of character anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was having a bad day.
Yeah, he was stressed because Kara was in the Phantom Zone.
I'm like, why yelling at me? I'm trying to help you build it.
Make your own app.
Yeah, at least if Martian Manhunter is yelling at you, you're getting to spend time with Martian Manhunter. So, so I guess I would pick that.
Not bad.
Okay, our last snap judgment. Who's the #1 threat to vampires? Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Abraham Lincoln ... Vampire Hunter?
Oh, Buffy. Buffy, she's badass. Sure. I don't know what she would look like today, but back in the day, that was the big thing. I didn't see the other movies, so I don't know about Abraham.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go Buffy. I was a huge Buffy fan back in the day. I mean, obviously Abe has done a lot for us all, but when it comes to slaying vampires, I think Buffy's got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter because he gets the vampires with the axe, which is like my favorite thing. That the axe that chops down the logs, I guess, to build the log cabin you grew up in. That I'm gonna go Vampire Hunter. Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I just love that exists. Like
I do too. Spoiler alert! It's actually a really great film. So
really?
I highly recommend, and it's actually there's a lot of good historical facts in there that are pretty true to history.
Well, they should be, right? I mean, you can't play with that history that much.
I mean, the vampire portion may not be true. I don't know. I'm
may not be true.
I'm still holding
mind
it.
they exist, okay?
I'm like 98% sure that the vampires were not part of Abraham Lincoln's real story, but I'm holding out a little bit of a hope. But yeah, it's I would actually go as far to say that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was more historically accurate than Steven Spielberg's Lincoln film with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
Those are some fighting words.
History people can come at me, but that is what I
get
think.
some tweets about that.
We're gonna get some hot takes on Lincoln films. I'm into it. But yeah, so I would go Abe Lincoln.
I love vampires.
Do you have a favorite vampire?
I was a big fan of the books Interview with a Vampire. And
yeah.
Lestat was definitely my favorite. I just loved everything that Anne Rice created for that series. And when I saw the movie, it was like, that was my inspiration for my Heineken commercial, Vampire, actually. Literally, I went and bought a wig. I bought like a ruffled shirt. I put on some makeup, and I put the wig in a ponytail with a big bow, and then the ruffled thing. And I just totally got inspired by the Interview with a Vampire. And I went in there and I killed it, and they liked it, you know. So
That's a great film. So
It's a classic.
Good inspiration.
I haven't seen it in years. That was really well done.
Well, we all have some vampire movies that we need to watch. So
We've got a Supergirl Radio Halloween vampire watch list now.
I gotta watch Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, and Interview with the Vampire. Definitely rewatch them. All right. Well, we will wrap up Snap Judgments, and then we'll say goodbye to Claude, and then we'll continue on with some news. No judgments on your Snap Judgments. Well, that's going to do it for our time with Claude. So thank you for being with us and being so gracious with your time. I know we kept you a little over than what I told you we would keep you in terms of time. But thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I'm so glad you had a good time playing Silas. Where can people follow up with you? And do you have any projects coming up?
So Claude Knowlton is my name, and that's my handle for everything: Twitter, Facebook. Don't email me, but everything is Claude Knowlton. There is no other Claude Knowlton. So that's me, and I have a Hallmark movie coming up. I play a Latino wedding cake maker. I play Latino a lot, and I'm going to South Carolina on Sunday for a shoot, but I can't disclose any information about that. I signed an NDA, so there. That's it. That's what's going on.
Well, follow Claude on social media so that you can keep up with everything he's doing.
And you can find out what that is sometime in the future.
we got a little tease, but we don't know. So we'll have to.
It's a mystery, and you have to follow him to find out.
We will have to keep following you. So thank you very much again for coming on and for sharing your experience. And we wish you the best in all your future projects.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been watching you guys for a long time, and it's just a lot of fun.
We're honored that you would watch our
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, you guys know so much about Supergirl. I was like, oh God, I should ask these people like what's going on? What's what, because you guys know a lot.
We wouldn't have known about the vampire thing though. We couldn't have helped you there.
But if you do have questions, let us know. If we don't know, we'll try to find out. We know people who know things. So, all right. Well, it was good to talk to you, and we'll say goodbye, and we'll continue on with some plugs and some news.
All right,
if you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you also like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, Doom Patrol, Batwoman, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and the upcoming Green Lantern, Justice League Dark, and Strange Adventure shows, and DC TV After Dark, you can subscribe to the DC TV Podcast Mega Feed on Apple Podcasts. Follow at DC TV Podcasts on Twitter, and like DC TV Podcasts on Facebook, or else. This has been a message from Hope, inhabiting the Flash vessel, also known as New Rachel.
I miss Hope.
Me too.
I'm glad that New Rachel can let her live on Supergirl Radio.
She lives on in our hearts, I think, is the main
thing. So since we did talk about some bats, we do have a Batwoman design here in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store. So if you want to go check out the Batwoman merch and designs, definitely go give the DC TV, there's a lot of words, DC TV Podcast TeePublic store and give it a look. And I'm going to, since we are going to do some things continuing, I'm going to make us a little prettier since now we're only 2 people. Okay, now we have everything. All right. So definitely check out the TeePublic store and see what we got in there if you need some new stuff. Well, we do have one news item, so I guess we could get to the news. This is kind of a sad bit of news, so but I thought we should cover it here. According to Variety.com, director-producer Richard Donner, best known for helming the Lethal Weapon film series, The Goonies, and the original Superman film, died this week on Monday, which would have been July 5th, right?
Yes.
He was 91 years old. Donner's production company confirmed news of his death to Variety, though the cause was not disclosed. Making full use of what he had learned on The Twilight Zone, Donner broke in the feature film arena with The Omen, a 1976 hit thriller that led to a plum assignment, bringing Superman to the big screen in 1978. He left the successful film's sequel in an eventually litigious dispute with the film's producers, Alexander and Ilya Salkind. The film was taken over by Richard Lester, though much of Donner's work remains in the finished film, albeit uncredited. In 2006, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, was released on DVD the same day that Bryan Singer's franchise reboot, Superman Returns, debuted on home video. So since we are related to the Superman mythos, he didn't direct a Supergirl movie, but since Superman, the movie by Richard Donner, is seen as a very big inspiration for a lot of live action superhero films and TV shows, I thought we could mention that here because he did contribute greatly to the mythos and was kind of a big deal with Superman the movie. Although I would also suggest that people, if they liked Superman the movie, go watch Scrooged, The Goonies, Conspiracy Theory, Lady Hawk.
Good.
Lady Hawk is a movie nobody talks about, and they should.
Never seen that one, I don't think.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's
Who's in Lady Hawk?
Matthew Broderick, Michelle Pfeiffer, Rutger Hauer is in it. It's a good film. It's kind
is it like a fantasy film?
Yeah, a little bit. It's almost like I don't know if you'd say medieval, but it's kind of in that sort of time period, and I love that kind of stuff. So I would recommend Lady Hawk. Very cool film. And Scrooged is, I think, probably personally my favorite Christmas film.
Oh my God, Scrooge is so. I don't know that I had put together that Donner also directed Scrooge and Goonies. Like right there, those are two films. Like you could just retire on that. Like you didn't have to do all the other ones. Like they're so good. Like come on, the Goonies. Come on.
The Goonies is such a classic. Yeah. So I think what he did for Superman the movie, he sort of revitalized Superman and really brought him to the big screen in a big way with Christopher Reeve. So that was a monumental thing that he did. But I think if you like his work, definitely check out some other films that he directed. Because, as much as, the Christopher Reeve Superman movie is great, I think, things like Lady Hawk are better. Like, I think the Superman stuff was not even his best work. So I would recommend people also go see some of those other films if you hadn't watched them. But I do appreciate what he did for the Superman mythos, but I'm a big fan of some Conspiracy Theory. Oh my gosh, what a good movie.
He had a deep bench of films in addition to, I feel like he's best known for Superman and for good reason. But like, man, Goonies or, the Lethal Weapon movies. Oh like, yeah. Those are, everybody knows those movies. Yeah. He did so many kind of iconic films. Even just The Omen, like that's a scary movie.
Yeah. It's interesting that the behind the scenes of Superman, the movie, from what I understand, like the producers saw The Omen and they were like, that guy, we should get him for Superman. Like, what? Right? How did you get there? Like,
I like the energy of that intense, scary movie.
Yeah, so that's an interesting sort of behind the scenes of that, of how they chose Richard Donner. But he did a really good job, and I think the thing that I like about Superman the movie is that it captures the Norman Rockwell-ness of Smallville very well. And I think that sort of, set the tone for a lot of things that would come after it, like Smallville, like Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. So I think a lot of that is, I think that some of the film I don't maybe think holds up as much today because it was definitely of the time. But the Smallville stuff, I think, will forever hold up as wonderful and still look like it's timeless. So that's the part of Superman the movie I really love. I know people like the flying and the punchy and the romance with Lois, but I especially love the sort of the Norman Rockwell-ness of Smallville.
I think just for the time that they made that movie, the effects for the time were really great, like surprisingly good when you kind of look at some other movies around that time period and like their effects, you're like, whoa, for things like neon. It's like, okay, Xanadu. But I think that, I think that the Superman, the movie did a good job of that super heroics, but also kind of grounding that character in, like you mentioned, like this universe that felt really believable, and that came down to the directing and like what he got out of the actors too, the performances. So it is sad, but like what a great legacy to leave behind.
Oh my gosh, yes. He left a lot of wonderful work behind. And he also introduced Miss Tessmacher. Miss Tessmacher!
Yes!
She's in that film, so I wanted to give a shout out to her because she plays a big pivotal role there at the end with Superman, kind of getting him out of Lex Luthor's lair. But he did contribute so much to the Superman mythology. And he even also, I guess it should be mentioned, that he was the original sort of Snyder Cut phenomenon. Because he did have to step away from Superman 2. And his cut, if you've never seen it, is superior to the one that was finished up by Richard Lester. So it's eerily similar to the Zack Snyder Cut situation with Joss Whedon. It's weird that happened twice with the same studio. What are you guys doing? But I'm glad that they did get to finally. Beaker made another appearance. I don't know that y'all saw Beaker earlier.
Oh, it was Bunsen. It was Bunsen earlier, which is a rare earlier. Beaker is usually the ham of the two. But Bunsen just like kind of like walked by and he was just like, what's this going on here? And then like left. And I had to basically, I was like, stop, we're talking to Claude.
So both of the lab cats wanted to chime in on this sad news. But yeah, so I guess we could sum up to say, you know, Richard Donner contributed a lot to what we know about, you know, Smallville and Krypton. So he did a lot of that to bring that visually to the screen. And if you've never seen the Donner cut, you really should, because it has a little bit of a different ending there with Superman and Lois, and the way she finds out about him being Superman is different, and she may have figured it out in that cut. So I'm just saying, like, Lois.
I don't think I've ever watched that cut, so now I want to like seek that out because that sounds interesting.
Yeah, Lois gets a little bit better portrayal, in my opinion, in the Donner cut. So there's some really serious stuff there with Superman and Lois there at the end, and it's very dramatic and good. So he did a great job with those characters in that universe. So glad he finally got his due with the Donner cut. Are we about to have another visitor?
No, I think he's done. He is staring at me from off camera, but he's like, I don't know. My public has seen enough of me. He just jumped down and wandered away. So
he just wanted to give you a good
done for the night.
Well, yeah, so we did want to mention that because that was some big news that came out in the Superman family bit of news there. All right. Well, I guess we will get to our wrapping up of some things. So we would like to thank our Patreons, or our Supergirl Radio Patreons, Michael, Sam, Anne, Marie, Grout, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Abby, Irmgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, Lizeth, Deb, Susan, Naomi, and V. Brewster. Thank you all for contributing to the Patreon and helping us pay for some fees and things of that nature, and giving us a chance to do some cool things with the Patreon. So we hope that you are enjoying our content that we're providing to you. So if you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio, and we have 4 different levels that you can contribute to. So if you'd like just a little extra Supergirl Radio, that is what the Patreon is for. You get your regular Supergirl Radio time every week, but if you want some extra stuff with Morgan and me, and maybe the lab cats every now and then,
we can't control when they will or won't visit. So.
So that's what you might get with the Patreon.
And as a reminder, we're still running our Flat Supergirl photography contest. and we will be running it for a while. And so if you want to enter and you're like, oh, you know what? They've been doing this for a while. They don't need my entry. Guess what? We're going to be doing this for months, and we do. So get to printing. You can download and print the Flat Supergirl, which you can find in the video description of this live stream, in the show notes of the audio podcast, or at the right-hand side of supergirlradio.com. Then you just cut out the Flat Supergirl image and you put Flat Supergirl on a popsicle stick or a pen, and then you just take a creative picture with Flat Supergirl. It can be a selfie. It can just be Flat Supergirl out in the world. Flat Supergirl could be doing an activity. Is Flat Supergirl driving? She shouldn't be. She can't reach the pedals. Whatever you want Flat Supergirl to do, she can do it. Let your imagination be your guide. But remember to take a picture and post it, as many as you like. She can get up to all kinds of shenanigans, but post those pictures to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook and tag at Supergirl Radio. Make sure you use the hashtag Supergirl Adventures.
Yeah, so you definitely can do that. I forgot to take Flat Supergirl with me when I went to New Orleans, and I was so mad at myself.
I was mad too. I was going to take her. I went to Connecticut this past weekend to like an Airbnb with like a nice pool. I would have killed her because it was a pool. We were in the pool a lot, and she would have melted. But I was going to take some pictures of her like sitting poolside, like drinking a marg. But I forgot her. So.
Oh yeah, I think Flat Supergirl probably escaped some New Orleans stuff. So I think that's probably for the best. Oh, Beaker!
Well, I thought he was done.
He's back.
He's not. He's not done. Beaker, come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. You wanna look at all the people? No. He's like, no, I don't want that. I just want my butt to be in frame for the entire time. Now he's like, what if I just rubbed myself against the lap? Okay. Bye again, friend. The worst was when Bunsen came over and immediately just knocked over my ring light while we were talking, and I had to like dive to like try to grab it, like, but gracefully off camera. You didn't know I was like desperately, the lighting in my camera is all going weird. It's like nothing, everything's cool.
Yeah, we've discovered, just a little behind the scenes of Supergirl Radio, we've discovered when the cats are quiet and they don't make an appearance on the live stream, that might be trouble.
That usually means that they've gotten their food out somehow and they've like ripped his bag open and it's just now pouring into their open mouths, which literally happened one of the last times we were recording. We like stopped recording and I was like, Rebecca, hold on. Like showed her how they ripped open the bag.
So I think if we do see them on the live stream, that's actually good.
It's a good sign.
You can keep your eye on them.
Means they're not working together to cause chaos.
They are too funny. Well, I guess you can find me on the Instagram. I did take some pictures of my trip to New Orleans at the Derby Kid. I'm on Instagram. You can find some pictures there. Highly recommend the World War II Museum in New Orleans. One of the best museums I've ever been to. It has 5 buildings, I think.
Wow, that's a big museum.
It's not just one museum. It's many buildings. It has 3 gift stores.
Whoa.
So it is.
How long did it take you to get through this museum?
2 days, and we kind of had to go through some parts very quickly. I would have wanted to hang out a little more, but I highly recommend that World War II museum. It was very well done. There's a plane in the main building that they bought off of eBay.
No, what?
Yes.
Just listing a giant plane on eBay.
It was some sort of that somebody had a World War II plane,
like
in
some
their
collector is
I
like,
guess.
I don't have any room for this World War II plane anymore. You know what they say, when you buy one World War II plane, you have to give away another.
So the tour guide told us they bought it off eBay, and we're like, what? You can buy World War II planes off eBay. What is that? So that's just one of the many
Fun facts.
fun facts that you'll learn at the World War II Museum. So that was very, very cool. So I highly recommend that. You can also check out my Sunday live streams at youtube.com/DuckMilkPra. That's my personal YouTube channel at 4 p.m. Eastern. I will be going through another Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice negative review from a top critic from Rotten Tomatoes. So it's quality commentary on the film. So we'll go through that and we'll see what they say, and we'll read through it together. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe and come hang out with me live on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on DCTV After Dark and the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. We got a break. We got a week off because of the holiday. I didn't know what to do with myself when there's not like a new episode of Legends on. But we'll be back next week with some new Legends-y content.
What's it like to talk about the show?
It's surprisingly strange. It's like, oh, that's right. This podcast was about a television show. I was starting to think it was about just whatever we wanted it to be. We got way into the weeds during our hiatus season. Like Supergirl Radio tried to keep it somewhat Supergirl related, but Legends was like, why don't we just watch a bunch of horror movies at Halloween? Like, who would stop us? So now that we're focused on Legends again, it is a little bit strange to be like, oh, that's right, this TV show. But it's nice to talk about the show again. It's nice to have the show back on. I don't know if Legends is going to take any kind of weird long hiatus in the middle of its season. Doesn't seem like it, which I don't understand. Like, why don't they all just take 2 or 3 months off randomly so that maybe another show can take over its spot?
Yeah, it's been so long since we talked about a Supergirl episode. We were really kind of getting into the
finally we were like, yeah, momentum. I remember how this goes. Podcasting about it's over.
We've still got about another month and a half, so that's going to be very interesting. But in case anybody's curious, I've basically scheduled live streams for the next until the end of the hiatus. So if you want to know kind of what we're doing, you can follow along there. Make sure you subscribe to the DCTV Podcast YouTube channel and get some notifications anytime we go live. So you'll get a little teaser of what's coming up for Supergirl Radio. So we've got lots of cool things coming. Some things I'm going to have to do without Morgan, but that's it's a good reason.
It's going to be tough. I'm mad on several fronts, but I'm mostly mad that they would decide to bring the show back, when I'm getting married. Seems personal now. Seems personal. CW. I feel like ever since I started this turf war with Superman and Lois, I've been continuously losing. So I think that has taught me a valuable lesson about maybe being nicer to the schedulers over at the CW.
They really ratcheted that up. That was uncalled for.
They did. They threw the glove down. They were like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I guess just not show up for those because of marriage.
That is wild, but we'll carry on without you and wait for you to come back, and we'll get your thoughts on those episodes that you missed. We'll do a 5-minute Morgan recap and get some thoughts in a short amount of time. All right, well, I think that's gonna do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I am still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And we'd like to thank Silas for helping get Supergirl out of the Phantom Zone.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luther like a different Luther? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.